video is sponsored by Kush Online, your home for cute, comfortable, curvy wear. Kush takes the stress out of getting dressed. Hey guys, welcome to my channel and welcome to another video. As we discussed yesterday in my live, that I would be coming on here to do commentary on the Who TF Did I Marry story, and so that's what we are starting today. As you guys know, it is a very long story, and we're going to attempt to break it up in pieces and watch. Hey, Boy Mom Plus Two. We're gonna break it up. We're gonna watch it. We're gonna do commentary on it. If you will, as you guys come in, hit that like button for me. Also, guys, the link is in the description for you guys to be able to come up and do commentary as well, or should I say, come on the panel and put your 2 cents in. We are going to do that today. This will be my first time attempting this, so you guys do have to be patient with me. As stated before, first of all, let me say welcome to everybody who has already hopped on here. Welcome to those who catch this in the replay. I hope you do take time, check this out. Give us your 2 cents on how you feel about the story, how you feel about the players. I know a lot of information is out here about it. And I'm going to be honest, this is going to be a blind reaction for me. I've watched a few little pieces and I've heard a lot about it, including the ex-wife, including another woman coming to the forefront, and him alleging that she's not being completely honest. But just from the little bit that I've heard, I do think that we are pretty much where I think she's being honest. I mean, because some of the things that have been put out here with this story, who would lie about that? At any rate, so let's go ahead and jump right on in, because like I said, this is going to be a pretty extensive live. We are going to go over and listen, and then we, like I said, will be able to do our commentary. Those of you who would like to come on the panel and put your 2 cents in, you definitely will have the ability to do so. The link is already in the description, so we will be able to allow you up. Let me make sure of one thing before we get started. We definitely have to abide by all rules when it comes to commentary, and so let me make sure that I have that set up appropriately. Okay, I think we are good to go there. So we're going to jump right on over into this story and get started. We are watching it from her TikTok page. So here we go with part 1 of Who the F Did I Marry?
Around March 4th of 2020. We met on Facebook dating site, and we also matched on Hinge. I did not realize that he was on both under 2 different names. So one was his actual name, and the other one was a variation, like a nickname that he called himself. Different pictures. So it was a running joke between us. Oh, you ain't even recognize that you had matched with me on Hinge. No, I didn't. And also that should have been a red flag. By the way, you will notice in this story, I called it the United Nations of red flags. It is so many red flags that, I mean, you would have thought I was colorblind because I ignored all of them. So anyway, back to the story. We met around March 4th. We exchanged phone numbers. He called me and we talked on the phone for the first time. In the first phone call, he told me that he had just moved to Georgia from California, from San Diego. His job had transferred him because he was being transferred in as the new regional manager for a major condiment company that is based here in Georgia. I'm not going to say the name. And so we also talked about his childhood. He told me he grew up in Philly. He's from Philly. Both of his parents were deceased. This is the first phone call. Both of his parents were deceased. His father was a Philadelphia police officer. His mom was a teacher. He also told me he briefly lived in Augusta with his family. He had 2 brothers and 2 sisters. He also had 2 half-brothers on his dad's side. First phone call. So I'm just giving you guys the backstory. This was the first phone call we had. So we talked about family. We talked about friends. We talked about our jobs. At the time, I was working at Georgia State Patrol. And he knew this, and he just thought that was like, wow, so you work with troopers all day. Yes, I did. Also in that phone call, he explained to me that he used to play football. He explained that he used to play arena football. I know nothing about arena football. About NFL, I know about college, go dog, but I don't know anything about arena football. So he explained to me that he used to play arena football. He used to work at Apple in the off season of arena football. And I remember thinking on that phone call, oh, okay, hey, for you. I don't know anything about arena football. And I believe I did tell him that I don't know anything about arena football. That'll come into play later on. So he told me, I just moved here. My job is paying for my housing and they are helping me to look for a house. He was like, right now I'm in Gwinnett County, but I'm trying to look for a house, ideally in Atlanta, like Brookhaven, Sandy Springs. He was like, I really would like to move out there. And so I thought, that's great. You're looking to get a house. You just moved here. He was like, I don't really know too many people here because I spend all my time at work and, this job is really demanding. So that was our first phone call. We talked more. He talked a lot, which took me by surprise because I'm not really used to men talking more than me. He eventually asked me out on a date. Our first date was set for Saturday, March 7th, 2020. He asked me what was my favorite restaurant. I said Cheesecake Factory. And so we agreed to go out at a Cheesecake Factory in a location that was in between. I lived in Clayton County at the time. He lived in Gwinnett County. I realized that if you don't know anything about Metro Atlanta, that makes no sense. But basically, we lived about 45 minutes apart.
It's a nice distance.
So we agreed to meet at the Cheesecake Factory over at Perimeter Mall, which is in an area, Sandy Springs, Dunwoody area. I was excited. Like, I called my friends and was like, I got a date, blah, blah, blah. We'll see how it goes. First conversation was good. Hopefully he looks like his pictures because, that's always an issue with online dating. Hopefully he looks like his pictures. So on my way to our date, I took 285 and literally right before I got to Boulder Crest, the exit for Boulder Crest, I heard a boom and I lost control of my car. Thank God that not thank God, but I knew what to do. So I did not crash, but my tire blew out. So I called him and I said, hey, I'm so sorry, but my tire just blew on 285. I'm slowly making my way off the exit. I believe I pulled into a Chevron gas station and I said, I got to get this fixed. I don't know what to do. Like, I'm a damsel in distress kind of thing. He kind of paused. He got quiet and he was like, tell me exactly where you are. Drop your pin. So I dropped the pin. And he came to the gas station, got out of the car, and I was so relieved that he actually looked like his pictures that I was like, oh my God, he's actually attractive because he's like 6'4", 6'5". Also, man, I apologize. So let me go back to the first conversation. Let me add something. He did tell me in the first phone call that he was divorced, and that his ex-wife, she had children, a boy and a girl who were teenagers, young adults. I think the girl was about 20. And he said that he had a very close relationship with his stepkids. But that he and his ex-wife had divorced because she cheated on him out in California. And so coming to Georgia was a new beginning for him. She was still out in California. The kids were still out in California. And so, he was like, I can't stand her, but I still want to be in the kids' lives. I have to put that in there because that will come back later. So this is just setting the stage. Again, that first conversation we talked about family. job, friends, how he ended up in Georgia, me being in Georgia, the things that, I would think people talk about in the first conversation. All right, now back to the tire blew out. So he shows up to the gas station. He changes my tire, which I just thought was the sexiest thing in the world. And then he needs to say, hey, I found a tire around the corner. You need to get another tire. Like, you can't drive on this donut. So he followed me to the tire place and then helped me get a tire for it. So I was definitely like, wow. And so the vibe was good. So anyway, I get the tire fit. We follow each other to the Cheesecake Factory over in Perimeter. We hold hands walking into the Cheesecake Factory. So in my mind, I'm like, this is just this. Oh my God, I had butterflies. That's the look of a woman who had butterflies.
I guess this is where, when they talk about the love bombing thing, I guess this is where that comes from. Um, be sure you guys give me your insight. Do you feel that this is normal? Like this is what a guy's supposed to do, or for you, would it have been a oh my God type of situation? Let me know how you feel about it.
So I had butterflies. And we go in, there's a long wait. And so we sit outside and we just talk. And the conversation is great. And this is where he tells me what it is he's looking for. He tells me, I believe at the time he was 42. He was like, I want to get married and it be for real. He's like, my parents were married for plus years before my mom passed away. And I want that. I want marriage, family, a house. Like that is what he's like, as a man, I'm ready to get married, but I want it to be for real because the first time, it really hurt me when she cheated on me. So he's telling me everything that I wanted to hear. And so he was like, what is it that you want? And I said pretty much the same thing. I was like, I'm ready to get married. Definitely want to have a family. And I want to marry my best friend. So we both put on the table that we wanted marriage. And this is the end of part one.
Now tell me, guys, do y'all think that um that was too much in part one? Like, do you feel that talking about marriage on the first date is like taboo? Hey, Miss, I can't handle the truth. Tell me what y'all think. Is it abnormal that a guy be so direct so early, or what? So let me, while you guys are answering, let me pull up part two. This is my first time pulling something from TikTok, so this is new for me. So yeah, you work with me. Just a moment, I'm pulling it back up. It went to okay. Hey, Cancer. Yes, so there's a lot of people talking about this story. It has went super viral just from her telling this story. It's a very long series, so it's going to take us a few days to cover the entire story. Um, Everybody seems to feel this a very good story. And so, with that being the case, we're just going to talk about it. We're going to do commentary on it. And those of you who would like to come up and put your 2 cents in, that's going to be allowed as well. But the first part of it, she just talked about how she met him. So now we're getting into part two. Here we go. What's going on here? Oh, maybe I used the wrong piece. Okay, hold on 1 second, guys, because I am trying to figure this thing out here. Had I had this up on YouTube. Someone had the whole thing chronologically ordered, and instead I was trying to pull it from her over here, but now I see why some people pulled it from YouTube because TikTok is not making this easy for me. Hold on, let me. Okay, this is part two. Oh, hold on, y'all. Now I see what's wrong. Make sure that I have it in here right.
It out loud on my audio diaries, and then once again, like, look what he's giving you. Like, he's paying. It wasn't a question about money. It was just a question of, are we really about to move into this house? And keep in mind, he's paying all the household bills. He still is. Keep in mind, he's paying all.
Okay, guys. So I jumped ahead a little bit. Um, Basically, they met right before COVID. It was almost like a whirlwind romance. It moved kind of fast. And with that being the case, COVID came and they decided to shelter in place at her house. And then he decides, oh my God, you're the one. I want to marry you and I'm going to buy us a house. So that's what she's talking about now. He put in an offer, so called, on a house. And they're about to do the damn thing, basically.
The household bills. He still is. So we were supposed to close before Memorial Day. We didn't. It's an excuse. There was always an excuse with him. Always an excuse. And I didn't know enough about the process to question stuff because I really wasn't involved the way I should have been. It was giving me a lot of anxiety. So I'm pregnant with a lot of anxiety. And if I'm gonna be 100% honest with y'all, I was not expecting that I was probably going to have a healthy pregnancy because I was stressed. And what I was stressed about is I didn't know what was going on because I wasn't really involved the way that a normal relationship would be involved. Being honest. Not close. We move now into June. This is now going into June. Around June 5th, I looked at the house again on realtor.com. I don't know what made me do it other than, and I don't mean to sound super spiritual. I know that people are like, You know, you may or may not believe in God, but I'm telling you, I believe with all my heart, probably Spirit was like, look at the house on realtor.com. So I looked at the house on realtor.com. This was around June 5th. It showed that the house was off the market. And I remember being like, okay, wait, what does that mean? What does that mean? Because ex-husband is telling me we're about to close on the house. We're about to close. It's our house. We got furniture, he's also telling me that he's been in contact with the realtor, his friend, who was telling him, you know, this is what was happening next. Here's what's going on. So the guy that we initially worked with apparently is completely out of picture. Again, I was not heavily involved. So I'm just like, let me look at the house. I see it's off market. What the fuck does off market mean? Like, now I'm really freaking out. So show the name of the real estate agent for the seller. I don't remember her name. I called her and I said, you know, I said, my husband and I, no, I wasn't married. My husband and I were looking at this house at 123 Main Street, and we really wanted to tour it, but now I'm showing it's off market. Is it not available? Or, you know, I pulled that card and she was like, oh, no, ma'am. The home closed yesterday. It closed June 4th. Again, there are certain dates I just remember. And I said, oh, it closed June 4th? I was like, really? And she said, yes, ma'am. She was like, my sellers sold the house. And I was like, oh, man, okay. Well, I said, my husband and I really love the pictures of it. And we're getting ready to start a family. So I would have loved to have been able to, you know, have the opportunity to see it. I asked her something. I don't remember the specific question I asked her. And I know why I asked the question, because I was anticipating that my boyfriend at the time was going to have some sort of excuse. So I asked her something about the buyers. And I remember, and somehow, again, forgive me, I don't remember the question I asked her, but the answer was that it was an older white couple. So I get off the phone with her. I record an audio diary, and in the audio diary, I specifically say, okay, there is no house. He's going to have to get out of this lie somehow. Because now I realize, at the very least, he was lying about him being the one who was under contract. I knew enough about that. So I was like, what, how was he going to get out of this? Again, I've listened to the audio diary in 2024. I literally said in our audio diary, how is he going to get out of this lie? And I was trying to think of when, how I'm going to do it. And something said to me, because I say it on the audio diary, I said, he's going to say it's a bad deal. And he's going to say he wants to pull out. Y'all keep in mind, I am pregnant. So I had a decision to make. As ugly as this decision was, I made the decision, you're about to have a baby with this man. He's paying all the household bills. Let him get out of the lie. And that's what I did. I purposely made the decision that I knew he was going to come back, and I knew he was going to give me some bullshit on why he couldn't buy the house, because he didn't know that I knew that house is already sold. The house is already sold. And this is the part where I said, I'm gonna be honest, even though it's gonna make me look good. Because most women in their right mind would have been like, I'm out. And I didn't. So, sure enough, he came home. He didn't really say anything that day. The next day, I asked him about the house, and he said, my friend, the realtor, he was like, I'm talking to him because something's going on with the interest rate. And when he said that, I felt so much relief because I knew that I had been prepared for he's going to give you some bullshit. So when he said there's something with the interest rate, I said, you know what? If this is literally what I said, y'all. If the interest rate isn't good, then we shouldn't move there. We should probably let this house go. We should cancel whatever furniture we ordered or, appliances, and let's just look for another house. I said I would like to be moved before the end of the year. I said I really don't want to be 9 months pregnant moving into a house. I would like to be done with this before then. And the way I said it was so calm, and he was like, okay. He was like, I'm gonna call the friend, the realtor, and tell him I'm backing out of the house and see if I can get my earnings. I remember looking at him. I was standing in the kitchen and I cocked my head to the side and I said, okay, get your earnest money back and let's find another house. And so that's how that first house fell through. So, fast forward, I keep looking at this to see how much time I have because they only give you 10 minutes. So this is part 5, part 6 is coming up, but subsequently what ends up happening the next week, which is mid-June, I was at work, and I started cramping, started bleeding, and at this point my doctor, I just had an ultrasound earlier that day, so I went to work because the ultrasound was fine. I went to work and the cramping, the bleeding started, and I started crying because I kind of knew what was going on. And my doctor had called me and told me that when they did the ultrasound, they did not see a heartbeat. So she was like, this pregnancy is not going to be viable.
My $1,000,000 question at this point is, why they didn't tell her that when she was at the hospital? How did they do the entire ultrasound and allow her to leave and didn't realize that there was no heartbeat? I mean, because you definitely hear that. So I don't understand how they let her go to work and have to find out there. Now, honestly, it really doesn't matter where you are. This is true because it's kind of going to be, one of those is what it is situations. If she was losing her pregnancy, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, there's no perfect way or time or place to tell someone that, but still at the same time, um, I really feel that um, they really could have did her a little better than that, in my opinion. And it's kind of sad because she's at her job and she's having to hear this. So I think that's kind of sad, but nonetheless, I mean that's kind of how it happened. So but I still don't understand how they didn't tell her while she was at the doctor.
fuck did I marry? So we're off. So obviously, my doctor had called and told me there was no heartbeat. The pregnancy was not viable at that point, and I was cramping and spotting at work. Went into my best friend's office and immediately started crying. She was like, "What's going on?" And I said, I told her. She grabbed her keys, grabbed her purse, and was like, "Let's go. I'm taking you home." On my way home, I called my boyfriend and told him what the doctor said, and he was like, "I'll meet you at home." So he was coming from Duluth, went straight home. Um, and so about 24 or 48 hours later, I had a doctor's appointment, and my doctor gave me three options. First option, let everything happen naturally. Your body will expel the fetus on its own. Second option, you can take a pill, which will induce expelling the fetus at home. The pill basically will cause you to contract and expel. The third option was to go into the hospital and do a DNC. I did not want to do a DNC because I did not want to be in a hospital with COVID going on. And for whatever reason, I did not do the option of let it happen naturally. So I chose to do the pill. His birthday was June 17th. My ex's birthday was June
Wow.
17th. So the decision was made. We're going to celebrate his birthday that day, go out to eat. And then that night, I would take the pill. We both were off from work the next 2 days, next 2 or 3 days. So now to try to celebrate as best we could, and then took the pill that night. That night was the most traumatic, excruciating pain I've ever bodied. Um, I do not recommend any woman, if prayerfully you don't have to go through that, but I don't recommend taking that pill. If you don't do it. Um, I spent the whole night in the bathroom just crying in so much pain. I couldn't take. They gave me a narcotic. I couldn't take it because it was. I found out I was allergic to it. It was causing me to like projectile vomiting. It was a mess. So, um, and he was right there. You know, he was scared that he needed to take me to the ER. But in the morning, the pain subsided. So, about 72 hours later, I had another doctor's appointment where the purpose of this appointment was to do an ultrasound to see if everything had passed. Everything did not pass. So, because of that, my doctor was like, "We're going to have to do a DNC." Um, my DNC was scheduled for the first week of July. My boyfriend, my ex, was going to, was always the plan. 2 days before my procedure, he comes home and tells me that he is up for promotion. He's up to be promoted to VP. Because of this, the president of the company, excuse me, is coming in, and it was going to be this huge business meeting he had to go to. The business meeting was scheduled for the day of my surgery. And so I'm throwing a fit because I was like, there's no way you can do that meeting. Like, I need you to take me to the hospital, all this other stuff. And so he offered to have his sister take me to the hospital. Apparently his sister lived in Douglasville. I was like, no, because I've never met her. Like, I know, I'm not having a stranger take me to the hospital. No, this is a private situation. I don't want that, blah, blah, blah. So my aunt had offered to take me. And then my friend who took me home from work had offered to take me. So at that point, we get into an argument because he's like, my sister is, you about your family. So why can't she step in? And I was like, no, because I don't know her. Period. I don't know her. So So my friend offers to take me to the hospital because I was all distressed that he's saying he's in this meeting and he can take me. So I remember being on I-75.
Yeah, that's Miss Maxwell. That's the protocol I'm used to. That they let you know right there. Hey, Mimi. I'm used to the fact of them alerting you while you're at the hospital because that's something that they can see and that you can see. Now I know everything is different and things go however, but like I said, I just thought that was kind of insensitive of them. They should be able to be there with her to kind of help her through that shock. This is her first pregnancy, things of that nature. So I just thought it was insensitive.
on the connector on the phone with her crying because I was so embarrassed that he wasn't going to be the one to take me and that I was needing to rely on someone else to take me to the hospital in order to get a DNC done. And she was really great. She was like, "Girl, this is why you have a village. Like, it's okay. Things happen. The world is crazy right now. I will take you. You're going to be okay." So he did not take me to the hospital for my DNC. My friend did. She could not stay because of COVID protocol. So when they wheeled me into pre-op after I got checked in, I texted him and was just letting him know, "Hey, here's the update. I'm about to, I'm in pre-op. They're going to get me prepared to go back to the surgical ward or whatever." And the response I got was from his new executive assistant, David. Now, when he told me he was up for the promotion, he did tell me that part of getting this new job would be that he would get an executive assistant named David. And he did tell me, "I'm going to make sure that I inform David if you get a text from this number, meaning from me, pull me out of the meeting because she's my fiance's having a procedure done and I'm picking her up, so it's important that you come get me if it's something serious." So I text him. David responds. He said, "Mr. Blah Blah told me that you are having a procedure done. If you need me to get him, I can go get him. He's in a meeting. Just let me know what you need." And I just said, "No, don't bother him. I'm just giving an update that they're about to take me back." And David responds and says, "I'm so sorry you're going through this. Please let me know if there's anything I can do." So I have the procedure. I wake up and I'm now in recovery. I should be in recovery 45 minutes up to an hour and a half. I wake up, first thing I ask, and I remember asking, is where is so and so? The nurse who was so sweet, she was like, "Everything went well. You're doing great." She said, "We spoke to your fiance. He's on his way." So I said, "Okay, okay." And it dozed back out, but I could still hear everything that was going on. I just could not keep my eyes open to save my life. So I hear her talk to the other nurse. And when she said, "Yeah, Dr. So and so called her fiance," and his executive assistant picked up. And the executive assistant said that he was in a business meeting and that, you could relate to him what you need to say and he'll, tell Mr. the fiance. And my doctor was like, "Hell no, HIPAA. I need to speak to him." So apparently, my fiance called the doctor 30 minutes later, and the doctor informed him she'll be ready to be discharged in about an hour. You can make your way and come pick her up. He said he was on his way. He was on his way from Duluth to Atlanta, which is not a huge distance, but the time of day, one thing about Atlanta, there's always traffic. So he should have been there within the hour. Should have only been in recovery an hour and a half.
Um, yeah, I don't agree with her. Duluth is that ride. It does depend on where in Duluth as well, but that's a nice ride, especially in midday traffic in Atlanta. It may take you an hour to drive 2 miles, depending on what's going on out there. So, I mean, it was a bad situation. I guess I feel where she's coming from because these they cohabitate. They have really been inseparable, and then at such a pivotal point, he was unavailable. So I would probably feel a ways as well.
Let's go to the next part. Part seven. Who the fuck did I marry? So I should have been in recovery at Northside Hospital for about at most an hour and a half. Subsequently, I ended up being in recovery between 3 to 3.5 hours. The nurses kept calling my ex, asking what's the status, because they were actually getting ready to do a shift change. So they kept calling, asking what's the status, what's the status, like where are you? I want to say that they called a total of 3 times and they spoke to him twice. So at this point, I knew they were all like, "Where is her? Where is her fiance? Like, what is going on?" He said he was stuck in traffic, and so he was making his way there. He eventually did get to Northside Hospital, and they wheeled me down because again he couldn't come in just because of the protocols. So when I got in the car, and I'm in pain, drug, couldn't keep my eyes open, couldn't really.
Janine, you're right. because of the fact that she took that pill and it started a process that couldn't finish, it would behoove them and her to remove any products of conception as soon as possible. Because, like you said, I mean, she took this pill that created a scenario for her body that was hazardous at this point. It would be different if she decided to do it naturally and they gave her a certain amount of time and it didn't happen. But the fact of the matter is, because of what that pill did, it seems like that would have been a very hazardous situation for her to be in. I mean, it just does.
Really, I was of it, but I remember him calling my aunt and my mother and letting them know I picked her up. We're on the way home. Let me get her settled, and then I'll give you guys an update. I remember that. What I did not know was that he had texted my aunt and my mom and asked them to not bother me for like a week. Like, just please don't reach out to her. Let her just rest. I am from New Jersey. I am from an African American family. You don't tell my black mama or my black aunt that, please don't bother her for a week. I didn't know this at the time, but I'm just interjecting that part. I'm trying to stay in the timeline, but he did apparently do that, and my aunt was like, "Why will fuck you up?" Anyway, so go home. He waits on me hand and foot. I recover. Just need about 48 hours to just get my mind right. During this time, in between the when the house in Douglasville fell through, we had not talked about a house. So I guess it was about a week later after the DNC, he decides that, do you want to start looking for a house again? Excuse me, I have hiccups, y'all. Start looking for a house again. Because what happened with the house in Douglasville, I felt like I was smarter this time to say, I want to be involved in every aspect because I don't know what the fuck happened with that house in Douglasville. But what I do know is that he lied to me. I didn't think, I didn't know then what I know now. I just knew he lied about putting in, or excuse me, he lied about being under contract. So I told him, I said, I don't want to work with your friend who I've never met, never talked to. I know that he's talked to him in front of me. And I'm going to demonstrate on one of the videos how he used to do his phone calls. Don't worry, it's coming. So we found a new real estate agent, really nice guy. His name was Scott. I am using his real name. Really nice guy. And we told him what the budget was. And Scott was like, okay, when you guys are ready, we can start looking at houses. Try for houses that are empty because you can actually tour those. If it's a house where someone's already living in there, chances are it's going to be a virtual tour because of COVID. So I found a house that I absolutely, in total, we must have looked at about 15 houses. But I found a house in Smyrna that I absolutely loved. We toured the house. Everything about this was perfect. The house was listed for 699,000. It was built. The only issue was that the basement was not finished.
Now, this is my question to you guys. Okay, these guys are within 4 to 6 months of meeting each other. They had this very fast desire to be together, him as well as her, obviously. Um, but still, with that being the case, do you guys think that she's kind of moving too fast? Like, you're trying to, within 6 months of meeting a guy, move in with him into a $600,000 house. Like, I mean, and this is Atlanta, and everybody and the men definitely are outnumbered by women. So everybody and their mama would have been after this man, if he is this financially stable, et cetera, et cetera. Now, it just feels to me like she should have almost known to be more alert of what was going on and more aware.
And he wanted the basement to be his man cave. Um, Again, I went with him to tour this house. So this was already feeling very different than the situation in Douglasville because we did not actually tour the Douglasville house. We only did a FaceTime virtual tour. This house, Smyrna, we toured. We toured this house more than once. and it was gorgeous, fucking gorgeous. So we talked about it. He said that he had the money. Again, the price was $699. He said he felt comfortable putting all cash offer. If you remember on videos before, he told me he had money in his savings from when he played football. So when he said an all cash offer, even I knew you you got that kind of money. Like, were you a cashier's check for 699,000? And he told me he did. He had money in savings from when he played football, and he's very comfortable paying all cash for this home.
He would have had to show me that damn money. Because, I mean, I wouldn't have called him a straight out lie, but in light of the things that we've already heard in this story, I'm going to need to see at least 100,000 somewhere. You know what I'm saying?
So the real estate agent, Scott, sent over the paperwork. The paperwork was sent in both of our names. It was sent to my email. That was another thing that I changed after Douglasville. Everything gets sent to me. And then I will be sure that he signs it. He sent it to me. I looked over the offer. We were going to put in an all cash, full price offer with a request to have the basement finished. Also, we were requesting for the seller to give us an answer within 24 hours. We were requesting a quick closing. These are just some things I remember. Remember, 24 hours. I didn't want to wait on y'all think about it. 24 hours, let us know if you're accepting the offer or not. And then also a quick closing because it was a new construction. So we didn't have to wait for the current tenant to move out. We didn't have to do that. So I watched in our bedroom as he pulled it up because it was a electronic document. He signed his name to the offer for $699,000 cash. He requested again the seller let us know in 24 hours if they were accepting the offer. So we submitted the offer at around 6 p.m. We were requesting that by 6 p.m. the next day, they let us know if the offer was or not. I watched him sign the offer. I sent the offer back to Scott from my email. All parties signed. Scott texted us and said, I got it. I'm submitting it. I will let you know what they say. Let's go into part 7. Sorry. Let's go into part 8. Good grief, this is getting long. Okay, so I just want to up some things that I realized is kind of creating some confusion. So just allow this video to serve as a stop sign. Let's clarify. First of all, the story, background. He was born in Philly, in Philly, and moved to Augusta. Story is he moved to Augusta for high school. After high school, he went to college at San Diego State. Enjoyed San Diego State, stayed in San Diego for quite a while. Got married out in California, had a house in California, played arena football out in California, but his family was back here in Augusta, Georgia. He still had a lot of family up in Philly, but for the most part, he had a sister in Augusta, he had a sister in Douglasville, he had a brother in Baltimore, he had another brother in Philly, and he had a brother in Nashville. So I just want to clarify that in terms.
And why had you not even by phone met any of these people? You're with this guy. You guys are just falling head over heels for one another, and yet you have been pregnant by him. You've unfortunately lost the pregnancy, and nobody reached out to say, woo woo woo, nothing like. I don't know. That's kind of weird.
Terms of not the demographics, but the geography. Born in Philly, came to Augusta for high school, went to San Diego State for college, played football, stayed in San Diego. Stayed in San Diego, got married.
Okay, we're gonna skip that.
Counter offer. We don't exactly know why. We don't exactly know why he didn't accept it, but the bottom line is that we figured out later on that he didn't want to finish the basement. So the offer was not accepted. The house fell through. I was okay with that because Again, I knew he had put in an offer. So we continued looking at other houses. We found another house in Smyrna that he really liked. I thought that it was way too big for just the two of us. Um, and so the price of this home was much higher than the $750,000 that Chase had approved for the mortgage. So what he explained to me was that he was willing to do the $750,000 mortgage, and he was also willing to put a significant amount of the money in savings on the house, which meant that he was now comfortable going from 750,000 up to about 900,000. Again, his whole explanation was, I have the money where I can put down a substantial down payment, bring down the price of the home, and then basically mortgage the rest of it. So that was now the plan. Was not comfortable with a home over $900,000. But again, keep in mind, I saw the Chase paperwork. So I was like, I just feel more comfortable sticking at the 750,000 mark. That's what you were approved for. Let's go with that. By this point, this is now fall of 2020. We had been talking about marriage. I had my ring. He had made VP at the company. And again, he was calling me every day from work. Um, the, I need to kind of explain how the company was ran, because when you think VP, you would think he would be in an office. It was a condiment company, so they actually were producing the content, and I'm not saying the name of the company on purpose, but they were producing the condiments in this particular plant location. So a lot of times, he would simply tell me that he walked the floor, checking in with his subordinates, basically. Now, how did he go to work? For the most part, at this point, he left before I woke up. However, pretty much wore dress pants, kind of like a dark navy blue cargo pant, and he had a polo shirt with a company logo on it. What I saw a lot of times is that he would not wear the polo shirt to work. He would wear like a company t-shirt. He would wear rubber sole shoes and the navy blue cargo pants. I didn't think it was a uniform, but it reminded me of what someone would wear when I worked at Amazon, if you're going to be doing manual labor. He didn't go to work sloppy looking at all, but it definitely was not suit and tie, nowhere near suit and tie. It is fair to note that outside of work, he was a man who he loved to dress. He loved to wear the latest Jordans. He loved to collect watches. He collected a lot of Invicta watches. Um, he he loved to collect hats. He wore hats, baseball caps everywhere because he knew the shape of his head. Um, so in terms of how he dressed casually, the man, he could dress. In terms of how he dressed for work, he didn't dress like a VP. But his excuse was, I'm constantly walking the production floor, and I can't be in a suit and tie walking the production floor where they're creating condiments that we're selling. So by this point, again, this is fall. We're looking at houses. We're still touring houses as much as we can because it is COVID. We had found another house that we really liked, and a house that I really truly wanted to put an offer in on. This was now going to be the second house that we put an offer on. He put in the asking price, I believe, was about 700,000. He put in under asking an offer for about 650,000. I'm guessing, but try to find the house and put it on the story. Um, the reason that that house fell through, we found out that the home was sitting on a septic tank. We found out that the septic tank had an issue, and it would have taken about $15,000 to $20,000 to fix the septic tank. The sellers were not willing to fix the septic tank. Personally, I didn't really care for the house that much. I'm the one who was like, I don't really want it. So even though we put an offer in, we had 24 hours where we could pull our offer back. And so we did. Once we found out, I believe it was in the disclosure. And if you're a realtor, please feel free to tell me if I'm using the wrong terminology. But I believe it was in disclosure that they told us the septic tank needs to be replaced. That's when I was like, I don't want that house. Um, so we pulled out. The house fell through. And so I was fine with it because I was heavily involved. I saw him sign the offer. I knew every step of what was going on. Our real estate agent, Scott, was amazing, but you will see when I get to it where he made a mistake as a real estate agent. So, house number two fell through. We then moved on, saw a few more houses, and then we get to house number three. I'm going to pause talking about the houses because now I need to introduce what happened with the cars. Stay tuned. All right, part 9 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry? So we're pausing on the house stuff. Let me tell you about the car. So when I met my ex-husband, I was driving a 2012 Nissan Rogue, fully loaded. It had quite a few miles on it, but it got me from A to B. It was in good condition, but I was upside down in the car. He was driving a 2018 Ford Taurus, super sport mode. I know he had a sport mode on the car, and I love driving that car. When he told me how he was a regional manager, he told me that one of the perks that came with the job was that he would be getting a company car. And so we spent time going to Range Rover South Atlanta. We spent time going to Jaguar. We spent time going to BMW. We spent time going to was on Mount Zion in Morrow, if you all are familiar with that area. He test drove a whole lot of cars. In the end, he decided on a BMW sedan. I was there when he test drove the car. I got in the car with him, loved it. And he explained to the salesperson, you know, I'm getting a company car. I need to get a printout of the full price of the car, tax tag and title, because what my company is going to do is wire over the money car. The salesperson was like, okay, you know, apparently that happens a lot. So he gave him a printout with the tax tag and title for the car. In front of me and the salesperson, he called the person in the finance department for his job. Obviously, I have no idea what this person's name is, but he called the person. He explained to them, this is the amount of money. He said the president of the company, so-and-so, has authorized for him to get a car, not spending more than, I think, $90,000 tax tag and title. The BMW came out to just under $90,000. Remember this conversation so fucking vividly. So he's on the phone in front. I'm standing down. The salesperson sitting down at their desk, and he's like, they put me on hold. And so he's like, I guess the person comes back, and he says, yeah, the price of the car is blah blah blah. He was like, give me a second, and I can send you a picture of that printout that shows tax tag and title for the BMW. He gets off the phone. He takes a picture of it. He sends it to whoever. He waits about 10 minutes. He calls the person. He says, did you get it? Apparently the person did get it. But the person who can actually physically do the wire transfer had gone home for the day. So he says to the BMW salesperson, he's like, okay, we're going to have to do this tomorrow because so-and-so went home for the day. I don't know who the salesperson is. I can only tell you from my viewpoint what I thought. I had no reason to think this was a lie. I really didn't. Because again, you got to please keep in mind the circumstances that all of this is happening. We're inside the dealership. We're sitting at the desk of this person. He gave us the printout. He's on, doing business, basically saying, look, I need this is how much money the car is going to cost. He's taking a picture of it. He seemingly is texting someone saying, this is how much, this is proof of how much it is. Then he asked the BMW salesperson, I need your wire transfer information. I got rushed over to, I guess, their finance area to get the bank wire information, because obviously you have to wire it a certain kind of way. Rushes back over, gives it to my ex-husband. My ex-husband's like, okay, first thing in the morning, we will get this wired over, and then, I'll come and pick up the car. My fiance, me, will drive to pick up the car. So we leave. He felt like, because at the time that this all happened, I was pregnant. So he felt like, look, we're about to have a baby. I don't want you driving that Nissan Rogue. I want to get you something more secure, something new. I really wanted a Kia. I really wanted a Kia Telluride. And he was like, well, let's look at the warranty. This man knew a lot about cars. He knew a lot about the warranty. He knew a lot about the depreciation value. And so he did talk to me a lot about what will we get the most for our money. We test drove, when I say we, I test drove a Kia Telluride, a Kia Sorento. He didn't like either of those. He had me test drive a Ford. He didn't care for that. Then came time where he really wanted me to get a BMW. He really wanted me to get a BMW X5. So he took me to Global BMW Imports, which, if you know anything about it, it's Cobb Parkway, but you can see it off the highway. I believe 285 is where you can see the Global Imports BMW dealership. He took me there. He had me test drive an X5, an X6. He also had me test drive I think I'm gonna get the numbers wrong, a 525, which was a sedan. I did not like that. I wanted an SUV. I love driving the BMW. He also had me drive an M Series, test drive an M Series. So he was very adamant that I should get a BMW. The reason being is because, according to him, he had a BMW in California when he lived in San Diego. He had a BMW that he loved. It was a white BMW. He showed me pictures of the BMW. So he showed me pictures of this white BMW that he had, and unfortunately, the car got totaled about 2 months before he moved to Georgia. So he had received money, not a lot, but some money to get another car, and he used it to get the Ford Taurus because he was like, I just need a car that's going to get me from A to B until I get a house and I'm much more settled. For him, he was like, I'm giving myself 60 days to get settled here in Georgia after moving from California. But then he met me. Again, that's the story. So he had me test drive the BMW. So much so, I loved the BMW. Loved it. I wanted a dark blue BMW with cognac interior. I wanted an X5, and I wanted an M Series. So I can clearly tell y'all that's exactly the car I wanted. We were online looking for that particular car because not every dealership had it. I was okay with a black BMW if needed. But I really wanted blue, really wanted a cognac color interior. So he felt like, I want you to consider all of a sudden an Audi Q8. Let's just see how you like it. If you don't really like it, then we will go back to the BMW. I cannot tell you why he switched up. I can't. But I can tell you he took me to an Audi dealership on Peachtree Industrial. He test drove an Audi and I test drove an Audi Q8. I loved the Q8. Loved it, loved it, loved it. But I was tired of test driving cars. By this point, I had test driven so many cars. Our weekends were spent either looking at a house or test driving cars. And I was picky, I will admit that. So he had me test drive the Q8. Really, like, I finally just told him, look, I'm good with either the BMW or the Audi, because I'm tired of test driving cars. He told my family he was buying me a new car because, keep in mind, not keep in mind, let me let y'all know, he had met my family initially on Zoom because, again, we were locked down. He had met my family. He also had met my family in person because at this point, it was like, look, if you're not showing symptoms, maybe we can do family dinner. And so he had met my family in person. And now we will go ahead and move towards part 10 of this series. Okay, part 10. Who did I marry?
You know, this is a lot for people who this is a new relationship and it is so much going on here. I don't know. It just seems like it's a lot.
Okay, had to sneeze. All right, so at this point, I had test driven all these cars. Kias, hell, he even had me test drive a Nissan Murano, but the main two were BMW and an Audi. He had told my grandfather he was getting me a car. He had told my aunt he was getting me a car, that he was going to, he was like, she's going to be my wife. I want her to be pure. So my family was really like, wow, who knew that he had this kind of money? And so I hated the fact that he did that, because anytime he got around my family, here's another red flag to put in the United Nations of red flags, he would always talk about money, and he would always brag. I never realized it in real time. I didn't realize it until I was out of the situation. Always bragged about the fact that he could fight, the fact that he had money, and the fact that he played football.
Okay, so she says that, but to be honest with you, she's enamored by those things as well, because before you got with him, you was okay with where you lived, you drove what you drove, and he is saying that he can make a $600,000 cash offer, but he drives a Ford Taurus. Tauruses are nice depending on the year, but it ain't no $600,000 in the bank type of car. So he did that because I guess it was that's how he led. That's how he um flirted. That's how he got who he got, maybe. So it's easy for her to say he bragged, but these are things that he liked as well. Or excuse me, that she liked as well.
Those are the three things he always bragged about. back to the cars. So I told him, I was like, pick one between the BMW and the Audi, because you said you buying it. So pick one. So this man chose the Audi. So he takes me to the dealership. I wanted a white Q8. He does give me the printout of how much it costs, tag and title, to get this Q8. Gentleman who's helping us gives him the printout. He's saying he's going to pay this money for the car out of the savings account that's offshore. That's the story. That's what he's saying. So apparently, it's asking the guy, is there a holding fee? Can I pay a holding fee to secure this car while I'm working to get the money transferred? Because obviously with COVID, it's going to take long for the banks to transfer the money. Side note, I need everyone to understand, one of the reasons why he was able to get away with the stuff he got away with is because we were on lockdown. It's crazy because it's now 2024, but I don't know, do we all remember how it seemed like a lot of stuff stopped in 2020? Now, keep in mind, that's not an excuse I'm making, because shit still got done. But in terms of business as usual just was not happening in 2020 at this time. So when he's saying, oh, it's going to take a while for the bank to transfer the money, the gentleman who was working at Audi he didn't make a face. He didn't blink. He was like, I know it's going to take a while because of COVID. So basically what ends up happening is we leave. He has the printout. He calls the bank, or he calls his financial advisor, who does have a name. The financial advisor's name is Eric. I feel comfortable using certain people's names, especially if we find out they didn't exist. So he calls Eric. He tells Eric in front of me, hey, I need to transfer $72,526, whatever the amount was, because I'm buying a car for my fiance. This is the bank account information. Do you need me to give it to you over the phone, or do you need me to email it to you? Pause. I can't hear what the person's saying, but that's what he would do. Do you need me to give it to you over the phone, or can I email it to you? Okay. All right, give me a few minutes and I'll go ahead and email it to you. All right, let me know. I'll call you back to find out if you received it. Okay, hang up. So I'm hearing this because, again, I'm not paying attention to, did I hear anybody on the other phone? Did I hear anybody on the other end? So he proceeds to type up an email, type up something, telling him this is the information that we need. I didn't think anything of it. He called me at work the next day to tell me that the money was sent to Audi, that he called Audi and he confirmed with Audi that they received the money. What he told me is that the car is going to be delivered to the house. Y'all, it's not that I lived in a hood, because I didn't, but I did not live in an area of Clayton County where you would have a brand new Audi delivered to your house. So I remember saying to him, I don't want that car delivered to the house, not yet, because I need to put that car in the garage. And my Nissan I only had a one car garage, so my Nissan was in the garage. So he said, okay, well, let me call them back and change the delivery date. Can you be home, or can you do a half day? So he's asking me, can you work a half day so that they can deliver the car and you will be home for it? I said, yes, that's fine. Because again, it's COVID. I'm working from home anyway. I only had to go in the office 2 days a week. So I'm at home the next day. He told me the car would be delivered between the hours of 1 and 3. Obviously, between 1 and 3, nothing happened. So 3 o'clock, I called him. He's at work. He sends me a voicemail. He calls me back. I said, it's 3 o'clock. No one ever came with the car. What's going on? And then I remember I was like, well, do I need to call Audi myself? Because I thought that you handled it. But if you didn't handle it, do I need to call them? And so whenever I would suggest I will handle it, he would get very, very defensive. Red flag number 472. So he was like, no, I will call Audi. Don't do anything. I'll call Audi and find out what's going on. Okay. So I'm at home chilling, cooking dinner, normal night. He calls me back and says, yeah, the car was stuck on the truck in Spartanburg, because apparently that's where their deliveries come from. So when he told me this, I was in the kitchen laughing, because by this point, I will be honest, and I told y'all I'll be honest even when it makes me look bad. I was guilty of, on one hand, I believed him, and on the other hand, I was like, let me see what lie he come up with. Let me just see. But keep in mind, my brain was really not rationalizing, not comprehending how deep the lie was. I just thought that no one told him the car was going to be delivered, and he made that up. I had no idea how deep the lie went. So he said, the car's in Spartanburg. It should be delivered this weekend. The weekend came, he had a whole other excuse. I don't remember what the exact excuse was as to why the car was never delivered. I do remember we got into an argument, and I was like, don't even worry about it. I'm gonna get a new car my damn self. I don't even need your help. Which is probably one of the worst things you can tell a narcissist, because they love to be the hero. It's all about them. But I was like, don't even worry about it. I'll get when I have the money to get a car myself, I'll do it. I don't want to hear anything else about a new car. I don't want to hear shit else about a car. Because at this point, I was spending way too much time trying to figure out, are we getting a car? Are we getting a house? Like, what the fuck is going on? Always there was an excuse. So when I told him I don't want to hear anything else about a car, and I am not going to a dealership to test drive another car, that ended that whole discussion right there. So this is where I'm going to interject what I believe was happening. I believe that my ex-husband is the type of person, he gets off, nut. He gets off on you being excited about something that he knows you will never get. So I believe that he enjoyed going to car dealerships. He enjoyed watching me test drive a car and get excited about it, knowing I was not going to get it. It is the level of cruelty. And again, I'm telling y'all stuff that I found out way later on. It is the level of cruelty that I still cannot comprehend. So the whole issue about the BMW and the Audi, I think he just enjoyed seeing me get excited and then pull it away. Part 11 coming up. All right, part 11. So for this part, I'm just going to give you some backstory on the family. Pause all the stuff about the house. Pause the stuff about the car. This is backstory on his family, my ex-husband's family. All right, follow me. My ex-husband's parents, mom and dad, are both deceased. Mom passed away from cancer. Dad passed away shortly after her. I'm not sure what he passed away from. So he has a number of siblings. He has two, with his parents, he has two brothers. One is older, lives in Philly. One is younger by 2 years, lives in Nashville. He has two sisters. One, Shantae, is older, lives in Douglasville with her husband and two kids, a boy and a girl. Younger sister, Kim, is the baby, lives in Augusta with her husband, worked at, I think he told me, Procter & Gamble. That was the story. He had two half-brothers that were through his dad. One brother lived in Baltimore. The other brother lived in Augusta. The brother that lived in Augusta, I have physically met in person, shook hands, hugged, all that. The brother that lived in Baltimore, I have FaceTimed with, talked to him. The brother that lived in Philly, the older brother that he looked up to, I have never talked to him on the phone. I would always talk to him through my ex-husband. So the conversation would be like, hey babe, brother so-and-so said hey. He didn't call him brother so-and-so. We'll call him John. John said hey. Hey John. I would be in the bathroom doing my hair, brushing my teeth. Hey John. And he'd be like, did you hear? He said, how you doing? I was like, I'm good. How's he doing? Because that's just me. And so he would relay back and forth. He talked to John every day from starting around July after the grandmother passed away. He would talk to John every morning. We both would be getting ready for work, and he would be on the phone with John. They would be talking for 30, 40 minutes, talking about football, talking about other siblings. They would be talking about cars. It was really like not a big deal. They would talk about the brother in Baltimore. They would talk about the brother in Augusta. And then they would reminisce. This is the conversations I could hear. Let me explain. When I say I can hear a conversation, what that means is I am physically standing near him or next to him where I could hear him with the phone up to his ear talking to someone, because it wasn't me. Okay. I may not hear the other person because the phone call may not be on speakerphone. But what I hear is, for example, I hear, hey man, what y'all doing? Oh, for real? Y'all barbecuing this weekend? What y'all making? Oh, that's what's up. Nah, I think me and her gonna stay in this weekend because, these numbers is looking crazy with COVID. Yeah, she over here. She's sitting right here. She watching TV. Okay, hold on. John said, hey. Hey, John. You heard her? Okay. All right, bro. I just wanted to check in on you. That's the type of conversation I'm explaining. Okay, so I hope that that gives a little more clarity about the type of conversations I'm hearing. So, I don't know why this light keeps going out. Okay, so that's how he would talk to his siblings. The grandmother passed away. He called me around April or May and told me that his grandmother passed away. His grandmother, on his dad's side, had died suddenly from COVID. She had symptoms. She went to bed and did not wake up. He was distraught. He was crying. He wasn't eating. He was just sitting there, listening to music, not watching TV, just sad, because he was like, my grandmother was always my support system. So from what I saw, it really bothered him. I did not think anything of it. I'm one of those people. If you tell me somebody in your family passed away, I'm gonna believe you, because I don't play about death. And I guess I expect other people don't either. Um, however, however, that is not the same for everyone else. But we'll get there. So, family. He had his sister Shantae, who lived in Douglasville. Like I said, she was married with 2 kids. Apparently she was a nurse. So when I had my miscarriage, that was a sister that he was like, my sister will take you to the hospital. Like, that's what family does. Okay. I had never met Shantae. I've been on the phone, or excuse me, I've been around him when he was on the phone with Shantae. Never heard her part of the conversation. But he would be talking to his sister. That's what he said. That's what it sounded like too. Now, what is interesting is that we lived maybe 35, 40 minutes away from Douglasville. So there were plenty of times that he had invited me to go with him to his sister's house. Okay, let me tell you how this would always work out. Total times he invited me was probably 3 times for different barbecues or whatnot. The first time he invited me, I was like, nah, I ain't going, because again, COVID. And she's a nurse. Hell no. The second time he was like, yeah, she invited us, but I don't think we should go because COVID. No. The third time I agreed to go. I was like, absolutely, I'll go meet your sister. Like, that'd be great. On our way to her house, to Douglasville, to go see the sister, apparently he got a phone call. The phone was always like on vibrate, but he got a phone call and he told me that something came up, and so she had to cancel the barbecue to get together, whatever. And so I was just like, oh man, okay, well, hopefully we can go another time. It didn't happen close enough for me to have red flags, if that makes sense. But at this point, as y'all probably like, girl, you so blind. But again, I didn't think anything of it, because it's like, okay, it fell through. We'll see. We'll reschedule. And so we just went out to eat, and then he talked to another brother, the brother from Augusta that he would have on speakerphone. So it was like, I didn't think anything of it. I really didn't. Man, and the more I talk about it, the more I realize, like, I'm not a dumb person, but it just never dawned on me the things that you have to now investigate. It didn't dawn on me. But nevertheless, that is the backstory for his family, right? Grandmother passed away. 3 weeks later, he called me and told me his uncle had passed away from COVID. The uncle had tested positive, had to go into the hospital, and he died. It was a bit of a red flag. Was a bit of a red flag, but like I said, I don't play about death. So I was just like, wow. Because of these 2 deaths, he became a stickler about COVID. And when I mean a stickler, wear your mask, wear gloves, hand sanitize your hands. Like, he was annoying about making sure neither one of us caught COVID. So now I'm gonna give you the backstory in regards to what I was told with the ex-wife. Okay, I know I look rough, but it's okay. It's okay. Anyway, so this is part 12 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry? So this is the backstory on what I was told for the ex-wife. This is important. Pay attention. All right. This is 2020. So this is what I was told in 2020. I was told that he and his ex-wife used to be friends. Then they started dating and subsequently got married. They got married in California. He had bought a house with the money that he made from arena football. They had apparently had gotten married on the downward of the arena football career. Had a nice house. He showed me a picture of the house, showed me pictures inside the house. Remember that? Showed me pictures inside the house. It was a really nice home in San Diego. And basically, what happened was that he came home from work early one day, and I have the hiccup, sorry. Came home early from work one day, and his wife was sleeping with another man. The man was in the house. He and the man get into it. Her son, who is about 17 years old in 2020, she had two kids, a daughter and a son. The son apparently was on his way home from school when my ex husband found his previous wife in bed with another man. So the story goes that he and the guy fought. He kicked the guy out. He kicked his ex wife out, but told her the kids could stay. The kids are not biologically his, those are his stepkids. She was like, "You must be kidding. Like, I'm not leaving my kids here." The kids are old enough to where they were like, we don't want to go because you fucked up. We don't want to leave. So apparently she leaves. The kids stay with him for a few weeks. And then she gets her own place. The kids move out, move in with their mom. He files for divorce in California. He files for divorce in California, and it was an ugly divorce. She was asking for spousal support, all kinds of stuff. And then it turned into, you know, I'll help you with the kids, not child support, but just I will give you some money for the kids because apparently he was very close to the kids and he wanted to keep a relationship with the kids. Their biological fathers, apparently there were two fathers, their biological fathers were not in the picture. So the divorce starts out contested and ugly, eventually becomes amicable. Eventually they become cordial with each other. So my ex-husband moved. This is all before he ever met me. So I'm telling you the story of what I was told in 2020. So eventually, about 2 years later, is when his job approached him about an opportunity to transfer to Georgia. And so he took it. New beginning, fresh start. He has family in Georgia. He took it. He told me this story pretty much the second or third conversation we had. So it was always from the beginning that she had cheated. He caught her, and he had filed for divorce, but he was still close to the kids. They still had a great relationship. I've heard him. I've heard him on the phone with the kids, just encouraging them, helping the 17-year-old like with homework. The kids really apparently wanted to meet me, and I was fine with that. He would send them money, if they needed something because he loved the kids as if they were his own. I'm telling you the story as I was told it in 2020. So, let's see, around April or May of 2020, he informs me that his ex-wife has moved to Georgia. Apparently, she's staying with her sister in Gwinnett County. So, she has moved to Georgia. The two kids are now in Georgia. And so, when he tells me all this, I'm like, so what's that supposed to mean? Now, I will say this. He never made it seem as if she wants him back. He never presented that. It was always, no, we're cool for the kids. We're cool for the kids. But he's never presented that she was trying to get him back. I feel like it's fair to her for me to say that. And again, stay with me. It all comes out. But that was the backstory in regards to the ex-wife, that they got married in California, they divorced in California, and then she eventually moved to Georgia, to Gwinnett County, after he had transferred to Georgia for his job. He did tell me that, every now and then he'll get a text message from her. He told me that he, told her when I was pregnant. He felt like she needed to hear that from him instead of hearing it from the kids. And we got into a bit of an argument about that. But, honey, in the big scheme of things, anyway. So we got into an argument about that. I felt like that's none of her business. But that's the overall backstory of her. So remember, because there will be a quiz, but just remember, he met her in California, married her in California, divorced her in California. She moved to Georgia, to Gwinnett County, after he moved to Georgia. Are we clear? Okay. Okay. Part 13 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry? So I've kind of given you guys all the backstory. Let's just kind of recap real quick. So I told you how we met in March of 2020. Basically, Georgia got shut down. I keep saying shut down, got locked down. We decided to quarantine together. I know it was crazy. It was crazy. I really liked him. And thought he liked me. So I told you guys how we met. Things moved at a rapid pace. Met in March, moved in together pretty much beginning of end of March, beginning of April. Found out I was pregnant in May. Lost the baby in June. Had to have surgery in July. Started looking for houses. Started looking at cars. All this stuff happened literally between March and the end of, excuse me, in August is when I got my car. So, got a car in August. He paid the down payment for that car, which I was shocked by. And no, it was not a BMW or an Audi. It was a Nissan Altima, but I loved that car at the time. So he paid the down payment for that car. He told me he would help me with the car payment. The biggest mistake that I made, and I'll explain why I say this. The biggest mistake I made was that I signed myself up for a car note, where I knew I needed his help to pay the car note. I knew better. My mom has always taught me, do not ever put yourself in a position where you are financially dependent on a man. And all of that went out the window. And the reason why I say that was the biggest mistake is because when I have pulled back the layers of this whole monstrosity of life that I lived for 2020 and 2021, it really does boil down to the fact that I truly ended up marrying him more out of fear than anything else. And I'll expound upon that later. But I got the car in August. And by this point, I was exhausted of looking at cars. I was mad that I didn't get a BMW X5 dark blue with cognac interior. And I was tired of looking at houses, getting my hopes up, looking at a house and picturing myself in the master bedroom, the kitchen, the island, all that stuff. I'm a visual person, and I was tired of getting my hopes up. So now we're going to segue into fall, going into the holidays. Here's what happened. In October, we looked at another house. This house was in Marietta. Absolutely gorgeous. It was gorgeous. I want to say that the house was about $700,000.
Okay. Is it me? All right, it's her story. And we're only on part 13. But honey, I got PTSD from her story. Like, this is a lot going on. I know when you get with somebody that their past does become a part of your future if you guys choose to be together. I get it. Um, but even with that being the case, it just seems like there are so many layers here and so many people involved that really aren't involved here. Like, I don't know. But um, for a man to be so allegedly financially viable, for me, it seems like she should have known something. I mean, if he has this relationship with this ex and he gives money here and there on a small scale, she should have really been like, okay, I don't know, it seemed like these red flags should have more been like daggers that kind of forced her to open her eyes, and I just don't see the fruits of that. I just don't. But at any rate, um, what do you guys think about it? It just seems like this has been a lot, and we're only into 13, and this is a very extended story.
I really liked the house. I could see myself living there. I could see myself cooking there. Um, and so subsequently, my ex husband put in an all cash offer on that house. I watched him put an all cash offer in on the house. Our real estate agent, Scott, called us about 24 hours later, and he said, the sellers love your offer. The offer was an all cash, full asking price offer, 700,000. Let that sink in for a moment. He said the sellers love the offer. They are asking that you show proof of funds so that they can accept the offer. My ex-husband said, I will show proof of funds when they accept the offer. The seller said, great, we'll accept the offer when you show proof of funds. So basically, we got into a standoff. And if you're a real estate agent or you work in real estate, I would love to know your thoughts on this. I had asked people in my personal life, like, have you ever heard of this before? And I've had plenty of people who said I side with the ex-husband. I would not show my bank statements until they accepted the offer. And then I had other people who were like, I wouldn't accept an all cash offer unless I verified that the person can pay. So I'm just curious what your thoughts are. Okay. So
Okay, so I've been in the real estate arena once before. I was a loan officer. Um, and I can see both sides. What's the big deal? If you really have the money to make this offer, why not show proof of funds? Number one. But also, I can see a person not wanting to put their personal information out there without there being some kind of guarantee. But the bottom line is you want something from the person who owns this house. You want this house. You want them to trust that you can close this loan. So you want them to take their house off the market for a period of time and give you the opportunity to close on it. Even if you met them halfway, you know, either show proof of funds or maybe they have an extended earnest money that you have to put down with it at the time that they accept the offer. Something. But the bottom line is you want something from them that they have, which is this house. Yes, they want something from you too, but in order for them to accept what you're offering, they have to basically turn down and allow no one else to be able to put an offer on the house. And it's an extended dollar amount. So I see it both ways.
our real estate agent called us and was like, guys, the sellers are giving you 2 days to show proof of funds. I had the letter that he showed me from Chase. I sent that to Scott, but that was for a mortgage. The offer was for all cash. So he needed to show he needed to show proof of funds. He had the cash to pay $700,000. He didn't show it. He refused to budge on showing them proof of funds until they accepted the offer because he was afraid that they were going to pay a more. So what ended up happening was Scott called us and said, I apologize because I didn't do my due diligence as a realtor. He said, before I ever started showing you guys a house, I should have collected your pre approval letter and proof of funds. He said, so at this point, my broker has informed me that I cannot show you guys another house until you show at least us, meaning the real estate firm, until you show us proof of funds. And so
Now the prequal letter, they should have requested the prequal letter. Proof of funds, maybe not so much because unless that's how you said you were going to pay. Um, the broker at this point basically didn't have faith that they were able to close on anything because number one, he had showed them houses over an extended period of time, and they haven't been able to close on anything. As a matter of fact, I don't even know that they put earnest money on anything, and that is required to secure the loan. So I feel that this is why they're now asking for this paperwork. She was saying that the realtor made a mistake. He really didn't make a mistake. A real estate agent is just supposed to show or sell houses. It's really not their job to do the handling of the mortgage. But because the real estate broker feels less than um, he doesn't feel good about these people at this point. That's why he's asking for additional proof of funds.
I'm just like, well, I'm telling my ex husband, just show them the fucking proof of funds. Like, what's the problem? Um, and so it was a lot of, I find that this is really unprofessional because it's not our fault that you didn't do your job correctly. It got a little ugly and it got uncomfortable because I'm like, I don't understand why you don't show them proof of funds when you clearly just signed a document stating that you're putting an offer in at full asking price. This was the same thing that the realtor was saying. He was like, but you just signed an offer. So What's the problem? Like, you want them to accept the offer and then you'll show everyone the funds? And my ex-husband, without missing a beat, said yes. So Scott did his best to work with the seller and say, look, accept the offer. He'll show you, he'll open the books, he'll show you the proof of funds. These sellers were like, no, that's not. And it wasn't so much the seller, it was the seller's agent. Big respect to the seller's agent. But the seller's agent was like, no, that's not how we're doing business. He needs to show those proof of funds before I advise my clients to accept his offer. Period. If he's not willing to do it, we'll go on to the next offer because
Janine, you're right. I mean, and then she kept going back and forth with all of this. This man has not been able to secure one single thing that he said he could do. So, and she made a comment, and we may have skipped over that by me moving forward into part two. That she felt she was desperate, like that she was, older, I guess, and she felt the ways about. She was ready to get married, and you're right. She fell in love with the potential of who he said he was. And she was so enamored by the fact that she was able to basically pull this guy who offered these things. So I think that's where it was. And that's why she said she's going to be honest, even to the point of making herself look bad. This is why.
they did have an offer on the table for less than asking price, but um, they were willing to accept that offer over the all cash offer because those people had basically shown proof. So subsequently, the house fell through. We passed the 2 day deadline. They went with the other offer. Also, at this point, our real estate agent, Scott, and I do not blame him for this, pretty much cut all ties because what he, I believe, felt like was I don't know what's going on, but something's going on.
Yeah.
And this is not how I do business. So until you guys are ready to show the proof of funds needed to buy a house, you need to get yourself another agent because we were already about 20 to 25 houses deep by this.
Not only that, in Atlanta, the housing market, those real estate agents, even up to this day, are starving. I mean, it's a lot. Like, there are way more agents than there is business up there. Houses fall through all the time, and a lot of times they make you send them money even for doing something as simple as an appraisal before he will even come out and take the time. Like, it's a really um, it's a market that people are starving. That's the only other way I can think to say it. So it makes sense that he cut ties.
Point, we had already put in 2 other offers, they fell through, and now here we are with this house, and once again it fell through. Okay, so good news and bad news. Number one, this is part 14 of Who the Fuck Did I Marry? Bad news, this is going to be the last post birthday night. And the reason why, good news, tomorrow's my birthday. So I'm just going to make this video, post it, and then I will pick back up probably Friday because honestly, I truly want to enjoy my birthday tomorrow. I just want to enjoy my birthday. All right, so y'all don't be upset. Just if anything, watch parts 1 through 14. Then we'll be ready for part 15. So the house fell through in October 2020, and what I told him was, I said, I don't want to look at another house. I don't want to talk about cars. I want to get through the holidays because it was going to be a holiday season where I could not celebrate my family because of COVID. So I said, I just want to get through the holidays. I want to get through the end of the year and revisit stuff in January. I was very calm when I said it. No argument, nothing like that. And he said he understood. I just, a lot of what fueled me staying in this situation really was the fact that number one, I didn't want to be alone. Number two, I didn't want to look stupid by having the relationship end so quickly for everyone to be like, we told you something was up. And number three, I was ready to get married. And that, what ready to get married fueled a lot of stuff. And again, I was still making my audio diaries. So listening back to it, I knew something was wrong. I admit that. I knew something was wrong. But what I thought it was, truthfully, was like, why does it seem like there's always something? Like, why can't we just go ahead and get the house? Why is it always something? Why can't I just get the BMW? It still didn't dawn on me how something went. And for people who keep asking, I'm going in order of events. So, yes, there will be a video where I explain how everything came out and what came out, what was true, what was not true. It's coming. I'm just getting all out in order. So, I told him I didn't want to look at a house no more. I didn't want to talk about houses. Do not mention the word Zillow. Do not mention the word realtor. Nothing. Let me just get through the holidays. And for myself, the question was, what do you want to do? You want to stay with him, or do you want to cut your losses?
Hey, Erica.
And the part that kept me constantly second guessing myself was, what if he's not lying? What if he's not lying? There's no, literally, the conversation I had with myself was, there's no way.
You said that one tire locked her ass in there. I mean, honestly, that's what it seems like. Cause damn, baby, like all these lies. Why can't we just buy? Why can't I just have? She convinced herself, and she kept doubling down on the situation because, like she just said, people kept telling her, "Girl, this is some bull crap. This dude ain't real." Blah, 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 woo, 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 and she she couldn't. She was just like, "No, you're wrong and I'm right," and she couldn't accept being wrong. Like she couldn't accept that he was, just not about nothing. And it's really sad that she had to take it that
He is
far.
lying about having money. You saw the paper from Chase. They don't just approve $750,000 for a mortgage for anybody. I've seen his checking account. You see how much money's in his available checking. Like I don't think he's lying. I don't think he's lying about that. But what is it? Is it that he doesn't trust me? Like, I second guess myself so much.
Okay, how much money was in the bank, honey? You ain't told us that. What he had, child?
Is it that he doesn't trust me? Is it that maybe he doesn't really want to get married? Like, what is it? Because I know what I saw. I know what I heard. I know that he's having conversations about move the money from this account to that account. I know he's paying my car note and all these bills. Like, clearly this is making money. I know that I saw the promotion, the letter from HR that states his new salary is 200 and something thousand. And I remember thinking, like, God, what, like, what am I missing? I'm missing something, but what is it? Because I know what I've seen. I know what I have touched. I have physically touched these papers. Like, I know how to read. So what is it that I am missing? He's close to his family. He talks to them all the time. He's just a regular guy that just likes to watch NFL football. He leaves me alone when I want to watch Georgia football. He's paying the bills, groceries. I haven't had to worry financially since I've met him. And as
Okay, now this is what I want to address. If you haven't had to worry, if he's been paying all these bills except maybe a few little personal things, maybe credit cards you had, or maybe car note before you got this car, where was your money going? Like, was you just messing off your money? Because where was your money going? Like, I don't get that part. Because with all of the questioning and wanting him to spend money, you were supposedly saving a ton of money. So, where was your money at?
a woman who lived on her own, paying her own bills, my God, that is the most intoxicating feeling when you meet a guy who just takes your stress and your worry away financially. The downside is he took away the stress and the worry financially away and instead brought a mental fuck job I've never in my life had experienced, and I could not put my finger on it. I couldn't really talk to anybody about it because I'm a big believer in what happens at home stays at home. So I didn't talk to my girlfriends about it. I didn't talk to my family about it. But I just remember being like, what am I missing? What am I missing? So we did not talk about houses. We did not look at cars. We didn't do any of that for November, December. And he came to me like around Thanksgiving, and what I thought was a very open, loving conversation. And in that conversation, he was like, okay, I know I have fucked up. I know that things are not feeling too strong right now. He was like, I want us to get married. I want a home. I will show you whatever you need to see to put you at ease. He was very like contrite. He was very just like, what do I need to do to put your mind at ease
Baby, and that's all he had to say, honey.
so that you know I'm in this and that I want this and that I love you and I want you to be my wife. So I was like, show me your accounts. He showed me his checking. He showed me one of his savings. He showed me a Chase savings. He did not show me the offshore. And he did not show me the US Bank. So he showed me those two accounts, checking and Chase savings. So I knew that there was money. What I saw in those accounts, there was money. I told him, I was like, if we're going to buy a house, I want it to be through the mortgage on Chase. I don't want to deal with this proof of funds shit no more. I said, I do not want to look at another house until the beginning of the new year. He said, okay. That is when we then had a conversation. So I guess I lied because we are going to have a part 15 or 16 tonight. But that is when we then had the discussion about marriage. And that is where religion came into play. Yeah, I'll give y'all the other part tonight. Stand by. Okay, part 15. Who the fuck did I marry? So in December of 2020, around beginning of December, we had a conversation, kind of a come to Jesus heart conversation. And both of us had grown up in the church, and the fact that we were not married but living together, the fact that almost had a baby together, um, bothered both of us. Both of our families, my family and his family, were very adamant. Like, okay, y'all either need to get married or y'all need to separate. Um, and so I'm walking around with a ring on, which I'll post a picture of the ring because God, there's so much to unpack. But anyway, walking around with the ring. And so he said to me, whatever I need to do my part to make this work, I'm willing to do. At the same time, it wasn't that I did not trust him as much as it was I felt like I wasn't trusting myself. Because again, like I said in the previous video, I know what I saw, I know what I read, I know what I've heard. But fuck, something was not sitting right with me. And every time I would question it in my head, the other side of me, like, you know, he ain't lying about money because you saw it. So you know he ain't lying. Girl, are you that? Like, I remember saying to myself, are you that jaded that you don't even know what it's like to have a decent man? Yes, I really had the audacity to have that thought. So we agreed at the beginning of December, like, we wanted to be together. I believe I loved him. I believed he loved me. So the decision was made that we were going to get married. It's still COVID, so we had to follow certain protocol. So we filed our marriage license in Fayette County, Georgia, because you could not get an appointment in Clayton County to save your life. So we filed the marriage license in Fayette County. On our marriage license, it asked the number of previous marriages. He said one, I had zero. It asked
Fayette County is Fayetteville, Georgia.
for our social security numbers. He put his social security number down. I put my social security number down. I mentally wrote down his social security number and I did a background check.
She should have been did that.
I did a background check after I had filed a marriage license. Yes, I know, but I did. The background check, nothing came back. it was like no results found. I did a criminal background check, nothing came back. So I thought one of two things: either I had the wrong social, meaning I wrote down the wrong social, or my paranoia was unfounded. There's nothing wrong with him because he has been always throughout the relationship a big stickler about law enforcement, following the law because his dad was a retired police officer. So this is a guy who would check to make sure my tail lights were working, make sure my signals were working, make sure my oil was good, make sure I had enough gas in the car. So when the criminal history came back with no results, I was like, well, of course there isn't, because the man probably hasn't had so much as a speeding ticket. So we filed the marriage license, and then we made an appointment to get married, and waiting for the judge to come out of chambers so that she could marry us. And the reason why I'm pausing is because, my God, if I could go back and see that young woman sitting in that lobby, wow. I know we can go back in time, but damn, if I could go back in time, I would. I didn't tell anyone I was getting married because I was afraid that we had tried before in September and something came up. So I didn't tell anyone. I didn't want to get hope. I didn't want to get my hopes up. I know that's bad, but again, said I would be on even if it's ugly. I told my mom, my family that we got married. Friends, they could not believe it. My mother was relieved. She had no idea about what was going on. My aunt was more like, really? You married him? My friend, the one who took me to the hospital for the miscarriage, was like, I wish you would have told me, like, you deserve to have people there, take pictures and celebrate and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and she was like, she's the type of friend, if you like it, I love it. You rock with him, I rock with him. The moment you don't, I don't either. So she was supportive. My other girlfriends were happy for me. They just hated that I had to get married during COVID, because they were like, we would have loved to have thrown you a bridal shower and a
I think her fear wasn't people and friends. Her fear was her. She apparently didn't feel she deserved the happiness that of being with someone who was taking care of everything and taking any type of stress off of her. Clearly, she felt that way, and that's unfortunate for her.
bachelorette party and all of that. It just sucks that you couldn't experience that. So we got married on a Tuesday. On the way home, stopped and got some wings. Went home, and I had to get ready to go to work the next day. And life, I got married January 5th. By January 31st, I knew I was in trouble. I still didn't know how deep, but I knew I was in trouble. So, to give you all a very, very, very candid idea, got married January 5th. The normal things that married newlyweds do when we got married completely stopped. And that was not by me. You always hear men talk about, man, now that we're married, she don't. In my case, it was the exact opposite.
I would have put him
It
out,
was the exact opposite. So,
baby.
anyway,
You
because
got me
this is
confused.
not a forum to y'all R-rated or whatnot, but y'all get what I'm saying. So we got married January 5th. January 6th, I went to work. It was a lot of people congratulated me because it kind of word got out that I had gotten married. January 7th, I filed the paperwork to change my last name. And if you were following me, you can go back like 15, 16 videos, and I talk about how I had to change my name back to my maiden name. But I changed my name within about 3 days of getting married. My attitude was, this is the bed that I made. I'm going to do right by him. I'm going to do right by my marriage. I took marriage seriously. And when I married him, I absolutely married him thinking, I'm going to be with you for the next 40, 50 years. So we're going to have to figure this shit out. That was my mindset. I did not get married to turn around and be divorced in 6 months. But I got married January
She got
5th,
married
2021,
because she seen
and
that
by
bank
January
account,
31st,
and she said, "I done been with this boy. I done had a child by him, and all this, that, and the third, and I be doggone if some other hoe finna get his doggone money." That's what she was really thinking, y'all.
I knew I was in serious trouble. So that is where we are. The next set of videos, the next set of all this will be me talking about how things went downhill before it crashed and I found everything out. In the meantime, tomorrow is my birthday. So happy birthday to me.
Okay,
The fuck did I
so
marry?
guys,
This is
we're going to start right here on our next video. We will do a segment tomorrow evening. I hope you guys have enjoyed this part of it. If you have any comments, if you will, put them down below. Tomorrow evening around 7:30, 8ish Eastern, I will go live and we will do our we actually are going to just do the segment of this. Our Monday, Mother Sector Monday, we will push that back, or either I'll do that as a video. So, like I said, I just wanted to start it out today. We are going to stop here. So, tomorrow we will start at part 16. I hope you guys have enjoyed this today, and I hope to see you guys tomorrow. So let me know what you think so far about this. Let me know what you think about her, the situation, and how you would have handled it. Let me know how you would have handled things different from how she did. And also let me know if you agree with me on the situation at hand as far as why she did and why she handled things the way that she did. So let me know. I'll see you guys tomorrow night.